Hey guys, tonight we embark on a journey back to ancient times, to the world of myths and gods where fire is a tool and craftsmanship is a divine art. Imagine a palace shining with golden splendor, its halls echoing with the whispers of immortals. Here resides Hephaestus, the ingenious god of fire and forge, whose creations spark both wonder and a smidgen of chaos. As you look around, your eyes find a golden throne, subtly gleaming among opulent decorations. It's a throne crafted so cleverly, you probably won't survive this tale without a touch of awe. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Feel free to post your location and local time as you settle in. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself strolling through a grand workshop filled with the scent of molten metal and the gentle clinking of tools against bronze. Imagining Hephaestus working here, you see him a stalwart figure with eyes like embers, bent over his labor with intricate precision. It's not just heat filling the air, but a tangible sense of creativity and determination. You notice a peculiar set of perfectly crafted tools lying on a stone bench, tools that seem to hum with divine connection, perhaps even dreaming of their own creations. Historians still debate whether Hephaestus built his throne with a cunning plan in mind, or if the lively furniture took on a life of its own through some trick of the gods. Regardless, as you stride through this legendary space, you can't help but consider the humor in such high art, creating such straightforward trouble. The workshop is a realm unto itself, its walls lined with spectacular works, a shield here, a dagger there, each piece telling a story. You pick up a finely sculpted spearhead warm to the touch, pondering over the battles it might have seen, or the heroes who once gripped it. Tight hearts heavy with the weight of divine warfare. Your fingers brush against the patterns etched into the metal, tracing lines that seem to speak of ancient sagas in silent metallic whispers. Head tilted, you reflect on how this very space might look in the softer light of dawn, colors ebbing into each other, a canvas of invention painted anew each day. Your musings are broken by a raucous laugh echoing from the shadows. You glance around, half expecting a charming god to step forth, offering you a goblet of ambrosia and a sly smile. A faint sigh escapes your lips as you continue imagining Hephaestus, perhaps chuckling to himself as he watched Zeus, the great king of the gods, in a brilliant twist of fate, land himself squarely in a celebratory trap. The throne, cleverly disguised as a generous gift, seemed harmless at first. Yet when Zeus claimed it, the throne sprang its golden embrace, ensnaring him with a quiet, mechanical laugh. In this place of divine folly, where tools lead their own mystery dances and thrones conspire against their occupants, you can almost hear the faint melodic hum of the forge, a gentle rhythmic reminder that even gods aren't beyond a little well-placed prank. Exhaling slowly, you feel your shoulders relax, relishing in the layers of myth woven through time and hearth. This is a place where ordinary notions of power and presence are flipped, where even the mightiest need a craftily built rescue plan. You stride across the forge, the soft sound of shifting sands beneath your feet, somehow a chorus of cosmic laughter You glimpse a side room, possibly where Hephaestus might plan his next clever creation, and wonder if he has ever imagined a world where the chaos he crafts spills into structured harmony. You step closer, curious and cautious, half expecting to see sketches of mythical inventions waiting to come alive at the hands of their meticulous master. As you explore gently, stepping over forgotten tools and remnants of ongoing projects, a playful breeze snares the loose threads of your tunic, briefly interrupting your reverie with nature's own prank. You let out a small chuckle, reassured by the universe's own whimsicality at play in the smallest things. Perhaps this is what truly defines the divine, the simple yet profound gift of laughter, even in the face of entrapment. Continuing deeper into the story, you find yourself enamored not just by the skillful grandeur of the past, but by the innate humanity shared between gods and men, where even amidst their towering flaws, brilliance and humor echo timelessly through the ages. With a contented nod, you turn away from the room, a newfound appreciation twinkling in your eyes. Here in the heart of Hephaestus's forge, creativity meets comedy, forming a saga woven with threads of metal, pyres of flame, and soft laughs that echo forever. Unlike the other gods with their sculpted features and graceful movements, Hephaestus always felt out of place among his radiant family. Olympus, with its glimmering golden halls and seamless beauty, was not kind to him. Tonight, you find yourself wandering through these celestial corridors where the light dances off polished marble and the air carries a faint scent of ambrosia. You glance at the gods who pass you by, each an embodiment of perfection, yet your attention drifts to the tale of Hephaestus, a god like no other, born of fire, metal, and a simmering bitterness. From early on, Hephaestus's appearance set him apart. Born to Zeus and Hera, his form did not mirror the flawless visage of his divine parents. As you wander, you can't help but feel a pang of empathy for the child Hephaestus cast from this very mountaintop. His story whispers through the winds of Olympus. As a child, he was hurled down to earth by Hera, herself disgraced and disowned. You shiver at the thought, an eternal drop plummeting from the heavens into the uncertain embrace of the mortal world below. His landing was not gentle. The earth embraced him with harshness rather than solace. You imagine the young god, bruised and battered, lying among rocky crags at the edge of the sea. It was here, amidst the rugged landscape of volcanic ash and ocean spray, that he found new guardians. Raised by Thetis and Eurynome, two nurturing sea nymphs, Hephaestus grew up surrounded by fire and metal, shaping his destiny in the fiery forges hidden beneath the waves. As you walk through these imagined shores, you kick a stray pebble, watching it skitter across the blackened sand. The hiss of the sea mingles with the crackle of distant flames, where Hephaestus learned to wield fire not as a deity who commands, but as a craftsman who creates. With each beat of the hammer against anvil, his bitterness forged a newfound strength. Historians still debate whether Hephaestus's initial bitterness towards his divine family ever softened. After all, family reunions can be awkward enough without the added drama of divine banishment. Yet as you walk through the imaginary echoes of his workshops, you sense that his creations spoke louder than any grudge. Here, amid a roar of furnaces and the symphony of metal, meeting metal, Hephaestus found his voice. It was a language of inventiveness and ingenuity, unspoken yet undeniable. Have you ever felt the heat of a forge, that almost tangible wall of warmth? As you picture yourself in this hearth-lit solitude, the heat wraps around you like a soft blanket. The scent of molten bronze and freshly worked iron fills the air. You chuckle softly. This isn't quite the aroma you'd choose for a scented candle collection. But beneath these smoldering rooftops, Hephaestus was more than a mere craftsman. He was an innovator, credited with creating weapons and armor of unmatched quality. The famed shield of Achilles, imbued with scenes of cosmological wonder, emerged from flames here. As you trace your fingers along an imagined shield's rim, you marvel at the intricate patterns, wondering if such detailed artistry flowed from hands spurred by passion or a touch of divine defiance. Perhaps it was both. Hephaestus's tools became extensions of his hands, his mind, his very heart. In an existence where beauty was currency, he carved his value through skill and resilience. They say he even fashioned the chains that bound the unruly Titan Prometheus. You grin at this thought silently, noting that sometimes it's the quiet ones you have to watch out for. Yet behind this curtain of fire, shadows dance. Hephaestus's mastery of metal masked a deeper struggle, the eternal conflict between acceptance and solitude. You wonder, did each completed masterpiece grant him solace or remind him of distance? In every tool and trinket, in every elegant mechanism and flawlessly fitted joint, you sense the duality of his nature, the beauty and the pain crafted into each piece. Wandering back along the volcanic paths, you reflect on the perseverance of this unique god, cast aside yet indispensable, unloved yet undeniably influential. It's a curious conundrum, isn't it? Wondering just where beauty lies, or whether in the end it truly matters. And so as the embers of his story fade to night, you find something profoundly human in Hephaestus's divine tale. It's the understanding that even beneath the roughest exteriors can burn a spark of brilliance well worth stoking. And as you carry that thought into the realm of dreams, you remember that sometimes it's the unpolished stones that best capture light set aglow by the fires they alone have kindled. There you are, under the imposing shadow of Mount Etna, where the air is thick with the smell of charred earth and the distant steady drumbeat of hammers against anvils. Blinking against the glow of molten metal and sparks that dance like fireflies in the gloom, you find yourself captivated by the scene. The forge sprawls in an enormous cavernous hollow where ancient rock walls rise toward a ceiling you can barely discern in the dim light. Lightning bolts are being crafted here, threaded with impossible energy, each one searing with a divine power that seems both awe-inspiring and oddly unsettling. Near them, enormous shapes move with purpose. These shapes are the Cyclopes' one-eyed giants, whose massive hands work with surprising finesse, showcasing a blend of brute force and amazing delicacy. You catch yourself thinking that with hands that large, even tying shoelaces must be an extraordinary challenge. But here, they forge the very weapons of the gods with an ease that's almost soothing. You step carefully over the rough-hewn stone floor, noting how the echoes of your footfalls mix with the rhythmic clanging of metal on metal. The light flickers across ancient tools hanging from the walls. Artifacts of a familiar mythology come to life before your eyes. It's a comforting, if slightly surreal scene, like stepping inside an old storybook, one where the pages might crumble if you turn them too quickly. As you move closer to the Cyclopes, the heat from the forge surrounds you like a warm embrace. You feel your muscles relax, despite the work around you. One of the Cyclopes, his single eye, peering through the steam, gives you a nod. It's a gesture of camaraderie, as if welcoming you into their secret workshop. There's a sort of timeless quality in their presence. You imagine they've been working with Hephaestus for millennia, eternal custodians of this volcanic forge. However, beyond the lightning bolts amid heaps of metal and scattered tools, another curious sight captures your attention. Furniture. Not just ordinary chairs and tables, but bizarre and fantastical pieces. There's a sculpted throne that seems to change shape, depending on the angle, a table whose surface shifts as if rippling water. You can't help but wonder if these were commissioned by bored deities who fancied a bit of playful innovation. You approach cautiously, half expecting one of the chairs to comment on your outfit in a droll wooden drawl. The sensation of being watched prickles the back of your neck, but it isn't an alarming feeling. Rather, it sparks a childlike fascination, like imagining your toys coming to life when you leave the room. Perhaps this is Hephaestus's true secret, beyond the bolts and the thrones of Olympus. He's crafting an entirely new realm of enchanted objects. Just then, one of the pieces, a slender twisting sconce, flickers to life, its flame dancing merrily as if greeting you. You could swear it bowed slightly, a theatrical gesture that makes you chuckle despite yourself. The idea of furniture with its own mind suddenly doesn't seem so far-fetched. After all, history is full of oddities we can't quite explain. Historians often debate whether the ancient world's many myths spring entirely from fact or the wild whimsy of forgotten storytellers. As you watch, the sconce's flame brightens, warming you with a gentle golden glow. Turning, you spot Hephaestus himself, a grizzled figure whose craft-laden apron is like a badge of honor, marked by patches and burns accumulated over countless creations. His eyes twinkle with a mischievous glint, as if he delights in the surprise each piece brings to its unsuspecting user. He grumbles a friendly greeting that rolls across the stones like gravel, and though you don't catch every word, over the forge's din, there's an ancient warmth in his voice. Curious, aren't they? He intones, gesturing broadly to the animated assemblage around you. You nod, aware that the question is rhetorical. Who wouldn't be? As you stand there, time seems to stretch and lose its ordinary meaning. Moments slip by like the shadows cast by the flickering sconces, each one lulling you further into this hypnotic environment. You understand now why the Cyclopes and Hephaestus spend eternity laboring. Here the rhythms are soothing, the creation's extraordinary. But even enchanted furniture and divine craftsmanship must eventually rest, and the forge begins to quiet. The Cyclopes pause their work, standing back to admire another finished piece. with the quiet pride of artisans who've never been bested. You can't help but smile at the sight, a reminder that even God's helpers savor moments of simple satisfaction. Feeling the calm seep into your bones, you let out a slow breath, shoulders dropping as you relax against a stone ledge. Eyes drifting shut, you listen to the whisper of molten metal, cooling in the chill of the cave. It occurs to you that maybe the unexpected wonder of Hephaestus's strange creations is their destiny to inspire those of us who wander into this hidden workshop, ensuring that we leave with a touch of magic ourselves. You think of the stories you'll tell of giant smiths and living furniture tales to provoke laughter and awe in equal measure from those willing to believe in the impossible. As subtle as the sconce bowing, you drift into a gentle slumber. The forge's glow painting dreams that flicker like the embers of forgotten myths and almost genius furniture designs. Walking through the quiet halls of the magical Olympian forge, you feel the soothing warmth of the fires kept alive by Hephaestus himself. The air is thick with the scent of smelted metals, and the faint whiff of pine from the carefully carved wooden tools scattered about. Each step echoes softly against the polished stone floors, as vibrant as the tales told of the gods' creations. You wonder if the tales could possibly match the grandeur of what you are about to witness. On a polished anvil lies an oddity beautiful. Maidens crafted not by Mother Nature, but by the hands of a god. Hephaestus, the blacksmith extraordinaire, stands nearby his hammer, clinking rhythmically with each steady beat. These maidens, golden and glowing, appear lifelike, as if they might suddenly wink at you, sharing a joke not meant for mortal understanding. These maidens can speak, think, and even walk, marking the very first steps towards what we might today call robotics. Imagine if one quipped, "Well, you humans still haven't gotten it quite right with technology, have you?" As you stand mesmerized, you can't help but chuckle at the thought. Wouldn't it be something if every Siri and Alexa had their roots in Hephaestus's creations? Historians still debate whether these golden maidens were perhaps symbolic, representing craftsmanship and balance. But as a soft whir of gears sounds almost like a whispered conversation among gods, you can't help but see them as more than metaphorical. Down the next corridor, vibrant tapestries hang on the smooth stone walls, depicting elaborate stories of triumph and folly. You pause to study one fingers gently, tracing the woven figures, a scene showing the battlefield of Troy, the hero's proud and flawed struggles beautifully captured. You can almost hear the clash of bronze and the cries of the heroes frozen in time. Come to think of it, you just might become an honorary historian tonight, with tales to rival any bard. The air is cool and charged with the intimacy of history, as if those who once walked these halls might suddenly appear around the next corner. You dare to speak softly, trying to capture a spirit of the past. "Notice anything peculiar today?" you ask, although no reply, but your echo meets you this time. Seconds later, the ever-present gentle murmur of moving machinery resumes, as if even the golden maidens require some rest from their divine duty. As you venture deeper, the forge expands into an open courtyard illuminated by twilight. The sky is painted with hues of purple and deep blue, the stars beginning to peek through. There's a light breeze, and you imagine its cool breath warning you to respect the gods' creations, lest you find yourself in Zeus's bad graces. At this thought, a small smile tugs at your lips, a light-hearted jab at yourself for treating mythical threats a bit too seriously. Moving on, the next sight that greets you is Hephaestus, appearing from behind a door, laden with intricate carvings worthy of a god. He nods appreciatively at his creations, running a hand over their gleaming forms, seemingly satisfied with their craftsmanship. You feel a sudden urge to ask him of his inspirations, the artist in you yearning to learn from the ancient master. But as the moment lingers, you realize that some stories are meant to remain unknown, enigmatic as the chipped stone whispers that seem to echo just for you here. Finally, you lean back against a warm column, exhaling slowly, shoulders easing. So much beauty, such artistry, from a time when dreams were forged in the fires of Olympus. You marvel at how Hephaestus captured the essence of truly living art, wondering if perhaps in all this there's a lesson for the heart to remain as steadfast and brilliant as those golden maidens who stand as a testament to the craftsmanship that transcends millennia. In this serene twilight, with the soft murmurs of machinery in the background, you allow yourself to drift slightly, the narratives of gods and golden maidens mixing seamlessly with the night's embrace. Embrace this timeless moment, you remind yourself gently, just like Hephaestus shaped his creations perfect in their silent gleaming regard. With that thought securely nestled in your mind, the quiet world around you seems to blend into a comforting lullaby, encouraging rest, and you drift slowly into a restful sleep cocooned by stories as old as time itself. The courtyard glimmers in the evening dusk, brimming with the muted chatter of people returning from their daily endeavors, the day's labor evident in the dirt clinging to their sandals. You find yourself wandering among them, considering how easy it is for one's feet to tirelessly tread this path, much like the very character you will meet tonight. He is not of divine stature, but his determination and ingenuity shine like a beacon in this age of myth and reality. He's known for his rather unusual showmanship, a banquet table. As you step through the crowd, you notice him bent over his work, the table following, with a loyal silence that defies natural laws. Its surface, made of a singular slab of polished olive wood, catches the light in such a way that you can almost see stories etched into its grain. You sense that here, ingenuity and spirit swirl in seamless harmony, much like the gods' whispers you hear in the rustling olive leaves. The artisan whose name escapes even the diligent scrolls of historians constructs this table not out of necessity, but from a budding rebellion against the mocking laughter that once followed each failed enterprise. You wonder if they ever truly believed he could capture something so animated from solid, unmoving materials. Yet here it is, a table strong enough to withstand a warrior's wrath, and cunning enough once, as you'll hear, to trip the mighty god of war, Ares himself. No small feat, you muse as your fingers trace the table's perfect edge. Historians still debate whether the tale of Ares' stumble is a whimsical exaggeration. But as you look into the artisan's eyes, that glint of both mischief and warmth suggests a truth rooted deeper than scrolls. Around you lies the chaotic tapestry of life. Street vendors peddling olives and wine children attempting feats of heroism as they clamber over ancient rocks, echoing stories of the very gods whose tales often interlace with human ones here. A woman's voice breaks through the air, offering freshly baked bread like anchors of warmth amidst the cool evening breeze. It's magic, surely someone says, nodding towards the table, with a reverence usually reserved for the likes of Zeus. And there's that chuckle again, the type that breathes life into legends. Or just an excellent engineering apprenticeship. The artisan replies with a wink, not missing a beat, his hands smoothing over a precarious wheel mechanism beneath. You feel laughter bubble up easy and contagious, and you just nod playfully in on the secret that's not quite a secret. The table's loyalty remains steadfast, a testament to human inventiveness as much as to an honest refusal to concede to doubt. You walk alongside its creator, the air humming with the cadence of a story still unfolding. Something about the mingling scents clings to you, wood and oil perhaps mixed with a hint of missed opportunities turned to triumph. Your surroundings carved from the rock and soul of this place blur slightly as you let your imagination play. How many gods have been secretly bemused by mortal mischief? As the night closes in, casting stars like scribes across the velvet sky, you feel the pull towards conclusion of this day of triumph over tease and laughter, but not yet, because the evening is young, and whispers of new adventures tease in the cool brush of the night air. And you, like the faithful table, remain silent but intrigued, ready to follow where innovation and courage lead. As you find yourself meandering through the grand halls of Mount Olympus, the air feels crisp and invigorating. Bright beams of sunlight bounce off the marble columns, casting their glow across endless rooms filled with divine trinkets. Echoes of your footsteps, the only sound accompanied by the gentle breeze, fill the space, like whispers of history waiting to be uncovered. Today marks an odd chapter in the tales of the gods. Your attention gravitates towards the sound of mild chuckles echoing around the corner. You follow the soft laughter until it leads you to a scene that might as well be another exquisite tapestry hung on Olympus's walls. There in the middle of a magnificent hall sits Hera, poised as ever yet immobilized in a rather undignified situation. Stuck to an ornate stool, its legs curl tightly around hers, refusing to let go. The goddess of marriage and family seems far from amused. Beside her stands Hephaestus, her son, and the renowned craftsman of the gods, his eyes twinkling with a mischievous satisfaction. "Ah, mother," he declares with mock solemnity, "I call it art." You can't help but wonder wryly if being bound to her seat was part of Hera's afternoon plans. The atmosphere is ripe with a sense of cosmic irony. You observe other deities hovering in the background, muttering to each other about awkward vengeance. Their whispers blend into a subtle chorus of divine disapproval, not directed at Hera, but at Hephaestus's peculiar brand of artistry. As you ponder the whimsical intricacies of divine family dynamics, you note the vivid colors of her surrounding the columns, shimmering in gold and ivory, and the lush gardens peeking from the open arches vines, curling lazily in the soft breeze. It's easy to lose yourself in the vibrant splendor of it all, until Hera's voice cuts through your reverie, sharp, with dignified restraint. Hephaestus, this is unbecoming. Historians still debate whether this incident was intentional provocation or simply Hephaestus's humor getting the best of him. You can only imagine the tumultuous family dinners at the palace, with immortal egos and eternal grudges the main course. For a fleeting second, you attempt to visualize Hephaestus's workshop deep within the mountain, where molten metal bubbles and hisses smoke, swirling up to disappear into the ether. You can almost smell the tang of iron and leather, feel the heat from forges that cast shadows, like animated histories dancing across stone walls. A place where creativity flows as liberally as the wine at Dionysian feasts. Lost in thought, you almost miss Hera's slight movement, a test of patience against the stubborn stool. The wood creaks, and the gods exchange knowing glances, momentarily distracted from their eternal squabbles by this farcical display. Zeus, though absent, is surely somewhere shaking his head in amusement or disbelief. One can never be certain which. You recall the common knowledge that Zeus occasionally transforms into random animals. Always an option should escape be necessary. Despite the divine drama unfolding, there's occasional space for levity. Ares, with a rare smirk, subtly nods towards the scene, with the understatement of the century. Sibling fun, wouldn't you say? You suppress a grin, exhaling softly, as warmth curls around you, much like the vines outside. With ease, you picture godly fates, weaving gossip into legend, laughter filling every gap of silence. Times like these, you can see why people found comfort at the hearth, seeking warmth from tales of gods who were surprisingly human. Still tethered Hera remains serene, her patience unyielding. Hephaestus doesn't so much as flinch, confident in his craft. You continue to observe, feeling the surreal blend of serene timelessness and subtle humor in a household as old as myth itself. In this place, emotions swirl in the air like perfume. The radiant pride in Hephaestus's eyes, Hera's resigned exasperation, and the general mirth of the surroundings, reminding you that even gods need a comic break. And so the unlikely scene holds fast to your mind, delightful in its unexpected absurdity. The minutes slip away like whispers through an oracle's veil. You wonder how myths will tell this tale, Hera's enduring patience, Hephaestus's impish streak, and the day a stool befriended infamy. Paths of history are often decided by such curious moments, the kind that defy logical expectations for irony's sake. In times like this, watching the constellations of amusement play across the room, you realize why these myths endure. They may be gods, but in the grand tapestry, their psyches are as colorful and complex as any mortals. Perhaps that's the real secret of their immortality being forever interesting. The scene before you dissolves gently, a soft laugh threading through the air like an ancient lullaby. In the expanses of time, these recollections morph into the stories that cradle humanity to sleep. One stool, one goddess, and one irreverent display of family dynamics, woven into a narrative of infinite charm and mischief. Here on Olympus, where the very marble seems to possess a pulse, funny little stories are timeless companions to dreams. As you place a tentative hand on the bed's edge, the antique wood creaks softly, almost like a sigh. The headboard is carved with intricate symbols that seem to dance in the dim glow of candlelight. This, you're told, is the bed of Apollonia, a mythical relic of the ancient world, said to possess the ability to adjust its height temperature and overall comfort to suit its occupant's desires. A hush settles over the room, broken only by your heartbeat and the distant rustling of leaves outside. You lie back, the mattress molding perfectly to your form. It's neither too firm nor too soft, and as the night air turns crisp, the bed warms, wrapping you in a cocoon of cozy bliss. You can't help but wonder who were its creators. And did they truly foresee a bed that answers dreams? Historians still debate the bed's origin, some whispering tales of it being a royal commission from a lovesick prince who wished no discomfort upon his beloved. Yet others insist it was the invention of a Grecian artisan, an ingenious tinkerer, rumored to have displeased the gods with his work so much that they imbued his creations with both blessings and curses. A gentle breeze wafts through the open window, carrying the scent of night-blooming jasmine. Even in a room filled with such ethereal promise, your thoughts wander to history's peculiarities. Did Archimedes ever contemplate a device capable of such advanced modulation? A seemingly trivial pursuit for someone busy shouting, "Eureka, naked in bathtubs." But one can't help but muse over such flights of fancy. An unusual detail catches your eye, a small gilt-framed portrait on the bedside table. The gentle face of a long-forgotten figure, painted with a knowing smile. The eyes seem to twinkle with secrets, older than the oak beams above. You reach out to adjust the frame, and notice a slip of parchment tucked behind it. Unfurling the paper, you discover an elegantly scripted note. The bed listens and watches. Those with restless hearts turn uneasy. Beware the comfort that lulls, but reveals truth hidden in the night. A chill creeps up your spine, yet it's the kind of thrill that pulls you deeper into the enigma. You settle back once more, heart mulling over the cryptic message as the symphony of crickets just outside starts anew. Little flits of sleep begin to play at the edges of your awareness, lulling you with their promise of dreams spun from moonlight and myth. It's said that legendary tales, like this bed, do not merely exist in books and whisperings. They unravel at the midnight hour for those willing to listen. You can feel the weight of history in the room, an almost tangible presence that invites you to ponder, explore, and feel much like the incongruity of a philosopher arguing the shape of a shadow cast by Zeus's lightning. Minutes pass, blending into hours, and the bed holds you like an embrace. Your eyes scan the ceiling's ancient timbers once more. Between the knots, you think you see patterns, stories, long forgotten faces that flicker as swiftly as the thoughts in your mind. With a yawn that feels like conceding to an old friend, you realize you might just fall asleep here. But wait, Wasn't there something about the bed refusing certain guests? You chuckle softly to yourself, a touch of whimsy, as you consider just for a moment how it would gauge faithfulness. Perhaps there's a hidden scale beneath the mattress, deciding fates with more precision than an ancient oracle. The room is hushed, the wooden floor cold underfoot, as you pad over to draw the curtains. As you pull the dark fabric across, you catch a glimpse of the moon hanging low and heavy, as if it too is an accomplice in this night's mysteries. A distant owl hoots, and you return to the bed that cradles you in its well-worn embrace. Here, amidst shadows and legends, you let your thoughts wander freely, comfortably, feeling as though the very fabric of the universe has softened its edges just for you tonight. Shadows stretch and shrink, as if whispering secrets from corners untouched by time. Through the window, the world seems far away, an echo of reality marinating in the stories of yore. The bed, a keeper of these times, hums gently beneath you, a reminder that not all tales are told and not all journeys known. Tonight, in this quietude, your heart slows, your mind drifts, and as morning threatens to peek over the horizon, you find peace here, wondering if by some small chance this mythical bed might just dream alongside you, carrying you through ancient dreams on its timeless voyage. Picture yourself in the vivid landscape of ancient Greece, the sun dipping lazily behind olive groves that sway gently in the breeze. The air hums with the cicadas' dusk chorus, and you find yourself under the expanse of the clear azure sky, with a trail of worn stone leading you up towards a sprawling courtyard. Tall marble columns loom silvery in the fading light, suggesting their whispers of ages past. Ahead, a scene unfolds that captures your curiosity. Around you, the murmur of voices blends with laughter as the local townsfolk engage in a lively discussion. And there, just amidst them, stands something peculiar, tripods firm in their position yet unsettlingly poised, as if awaiting the gentle nudge of an unseen guide. The Iliad speaks of these very tripods crafted not with mere utility, but with almost mystical qualities, reputed to roll into assemblies all on their own. Was it magic, though, or perhaps some hidden cleverness? You watch intrigued. A tall man robes flowing gestures with wide strokes as he spins a tale of these legendary objects. His voice carries with it the rhythm of the ancient poets, and they came to life in Hephaestus's hands, rolling with the grace of a sympathetic god. You chuckle softly at his theatrics, not above imagining the ancient artisans crafting wheels as a surprise twist in ancient Greek technology. But in your heart, the curiosity lingers. Do these tripods possess magic? Or is it merely an ingenious design lost to time? Historians still debate whether these tripods were enchanted by the gods or simply a testament to the artistic prowess and creativity of the era. You let your mind wander, pondering if the everyday can touch the miraculous when seen through the eyes of myth. The gathering swells with an evening energy, a market of ideas, where speculation clinks like coins in a purse. Around you, vendors call out their wares, soft bread and ripe figs under the golden glow of oil lamps. The scent is warm and inviting. Your stomach grumbles in light-hearted reproach. You weave through the crowd, the hum of excitement vibrant around you. As you draw near to one of these storied tripods, you kneel to examine it closely. The craftsmanship fascinates, a trifold symmetry in bronze, detailed and intricate. You imagine the hands that molded this, the eyes that envisioned it, and wonder if they ever stopped to consider the dust this would stir among the ancients. Just then an old merchant sidles up, his beard curling like smoke. They say it's all about the tilting balance, he whispers. A little trick here, a nudge there, and like grand theater, voila. His eyes twinkle with secrets exchanged in quiet corners. A breeze flutters your hair softly. As you rise, a gentle reminder of the world, waiting beyond this pause in time. Your fingertips linger on the cool metal, wondering if it remembers the history it holds. The night weaves its tapestry of stars overhead, wrapping the little town in a cloak of serenity. The lively sounds dim down, giving way to the tranquil serenade of a land at rest. Yet you linger still caught between the pages of history and myth, contemplating where one ends and the other begins. You exhale slowly, feeling the echoes of an era long past settle into a quiet part of your heart. As you stroll away, the old merchant chuckles, a low sound that blends with the whispers of the breeze. Whether magic or craft they would have us believe in both, he calls after you, a teasing glint in his wise eyes. You wave back, sharing in the joke of a world where time unravels in stories. Your mind drifts like a gentle ship on calm seas, carrying these tales forward through time and into dreams awaiting your arrival. The night envelops you, a gentle shepherd, steering you toward the horizon, where the sea of reality meets the endless sky of possibilities, finally inviting you to rest under the watchful gaze of ancient wonders. As you find yourself amidst the bustling preparations for a grand feast on Olympus, plates shimmer in the air, glistening under the golden glow of floating lanterns. The sky above you is painted with shades of lavender and deep indigo, as Apollo's sun bows to the moon's gentle ascent. You're standing on a terrace marble, cool beneath your feet, where the scent of ambrosia fills the air, weaving through conversations both hushed and exuberant. Here the gods gather not in their usual solemnity, but in an almost mischievous camaraderie. Laughter echoes across the terrace as you peer around, noting how effortlessly everything seems to move about. A table stretches before you, laden with delicacies, fruits so rich in color they appear freshly plucked from the gardens themselves. Today you find yourself amidst the divine, feeling like an intruder in this realm of immortality and endless revelry. Watching the scene unfold, you spot Hephaestus, the divine smith, standing with a knowing grin curling on his lips. There's something about his demeanor that catches your eye. You've heard the stories of his forge down in volcanic depths, where the god shapes weapons and treasures of incomparable worth. Here he stands, arms crossed, elevated throne of metalwork behind him. The feast begins. Plates dart into place with an elegant rustle like leaves caught in a gentle gust of autumn wind. Goblets levitate, pouring themselves full until they glimmer like liquid jewels, each filled to perfection. Napkins twist and spiral in midair, landing with a flourish beside each divine guest. You blink, taken aback by the orchestration of such an otherworldly event. It's almost as though you've stepped into an illusion where logic dances along the edges of imagination, as the gods settle laughter and chatter, ripple through the air. You can't help but draw a parallel to a grand masquerade where facades slip and merriment masks hidden thoughts. Across from you, Athena leans over her eyes, wise and knowing. It seems our Hephaestus is in a playful mood, she muses, nodding toward the smith. You watch as Hephaestus shrugs lightly when someone points and laughs at the dancing dishes. Nothing moves of its own accord, he claims, winking discreetly as Dionysus chuckles in response. There's mischief in the air, a whimsy that feels almost childlike amongst these ancient beings. Historians still debate whether Hephaestus's invisible hands truly guided the feast or if sheer magic was at play. In this place where history and myth entwine like tendrils of vine conjecture, often replaces fact, leaving you wondering about the nature of these tales. You take a sip from your cup, its contents a burst of flavor, unlike any mortal drink, and ponder the line between myth and memory, fact and fiction. Did those plates truly fly on their own? Your fingers brush against the linen of your napkin folded with artistry you can't replicate. Here, this is normal, a surreal normality that, like a dream, fades when morning comes. Although you stand here as witness, you wonder if you'd even be believed were you to tell of this to others. The breeze skims the surface of the terrace, carrying the sound of gentle harp music that moves like silk over your senses. You find comfort in the melody, allowing it to guide your thoughts. In a world of divine feasting, your mind can't help but wander to simpler pleasures. You smile to yourself, a small, secretive tug of your lips. Perhaps Hephaestus's insistence on everything being as it seems is his own small rebellion against expectation, a jest shared only in spirit. It's grounding in a way to stand here and embrace the absurdity of it all, the juxtaposition between what you see and what you believe. With each dish that lands, each cup that fills you, feel more a part of this divine dance. There's solace in the shared laughter and the joyful clink of goblets raised high. As the moon casts its gentle light over the gathering shadows, play over faces as bright as the stars. The revelry continues with a rhythm that seems endless, and you find your own place within this cosmic harmony. The music, the laughter, the playfulness of gods, it all wraps around you like a soft lullaby. The feast ebbs and flows like waves upon a quiet sea. You lean back, exhaling gently, as the meals weave a tapestry of stories, both spoken and unspoken. Despite the grandeur of it all, there's something entirely human in this divine gathering, a sentiment that warms your soul as much as the rich ambrosia gilds your veins. Your mind drifts the scenes before you, blending into ethereal memories. It's in the slow delight of each unfolding moment where reality blurs just enough to enchant you further. Plates still move with that ethereal grace. Goblets clink in a melody of their own making. And in this suspended time, Hephaestus smiles, knowingly guardian of both secrets and laughter. As night deepens, the feast nears its end, yet the warmth lingers. It drapes softly over you like a beloved bedtime blanket, inviting you to rest in its embrace. You yawn gently, lulled by the peaceful cadence of this magical eve. Here in this twilight sanctuary, dreams of divine feasts and flying plates intertwine, leaving you poised on the gentle cusp of waking dreams. And oh, the story. This isn't just any tale of myth and wonder. This is a narrative where even the inanimate have a mind of their own. You might just find yourself questioning the boundaries of ingenuity and independence, and whether those boundaries were intended as a gift or a clever jibe. You probably won't survive this paradigm shift unscathed, as Hephaestus's creations challenge the very idea of free will. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Feel free to share where you're listening from and what time it is in the comments. It's always nice to know where our dreams cross paths. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. As the story unfurls, you find yourself stepping into the sacred forge of Hephaestus, himself nestled within a mountain rugged and steaming with volcanic warmth. You grip the handle of a brass door, the metal cool under your fingers despite the heat that coils around the room like a serpent. The forge is a cavernous space echoing with the rhythmic clang of hammer on metal. Here, tools of all manners are scattered in organized chaos, from hammers that could flatten mountains to delicate tongs crafted with the finesse of a goldsmith. You watch fascinated as Hephaestus himself works, the bellows sparks cascading around him like a shimmering waterfall. For a god cast down from Olympus, he certainly keeps things interesting. Historians still debate whether Hephaestus's limp was an inherited trait or the result of his dramatic plummet from Mount Olympus. His resilience, however, is unquestionable. You can almost hear him chuckling to himself as he fashions a new contraption, an automaton perhaps, or one of those renowned self-moving couches. These were no mere furniture. They were expressions of genius, and some might say subtle commentary. Will the gods ever tire of showing off, you muse aloud? Though the only response is the crackling of the fire. You can't help but feel a ripple of admiration. Mixed with a hint of amusement, imagine a sovereign lounging on a self-propelled couch, blissfully unaware of the irony. One of the great works of Hephaestus that catches your eye is a golden shield. It's so lustrous that it almost seems to glow with its own internal light, depicting a scene of battle so vivid you half expect the figures to spring into action right before your eyes. This shield, a canonical fact, was the one he forged for Achilles during the Trojan War, a masterpiece written about by the blind poet Homer. As your hand glides over its surface, you notice how cleverly the lines within each engraved warrior fold and shift, almost as if they are shuffling, preparing for war. Nice trick, you whisper under your breath with a smile, wondering if Hephaestus intended this shield to teach the fleeting nature of heroics, or to simply mirror the chaotic beauty he often embraced in his creations. Your mind drifts to the gods who would have coveted these innovations. They must have paraded these moving gifts in front of mortals and gawked at their expressions, part awe, part envy, but mostly confusion. You can almost hear Zeus boasting to Hera, his voice echoing over the thunderclouds about his new armchair that doesn't need pushing. Stories of these unpredictable creations spread through the halls of kings as whispers among courtiers speculated on their origin and purpose. The ever-moving throne of King Alcinous, for instance, beguiled visitors at his banquets, where they reclined as the chairs nudged them toward perfectly aligned tables laden with delicacies. Was it simply a gesture of hospitality, or perhaps a reminder of the godly might that must have amused Hephaestus as much as it did the dining gods? No one knows for sure why Hephaestus chose to humiliate through sophistication rather than brute force. You consider this as the night deepens, feeling the room grow cozier, more intimate. The hiss of steam from the forge, a kind of lullaby, lulling the senses with its persistent whisper. How peculiar it is to think that these creations might still be out there moving with a will of their own, long after their maker slipped into myth. As you take one last glance back at the shimmering portals and self-animated curiosities, you catch yourself smiling, drawn into the embrace of history, woven with a god's coy humor. The warmth on your skin seems to leave a note of mystery in the air, one that beckons you ever forward as the line between myth and history blurs gently like twilight. Hephaestus's forge fades gradually from your mind, leaving only an impression of a realm brimming with the unexpected, echoing the whispered stories believed and retold, reshaping the invisible fabric of dreams shared across time. Once you've done that, feel free to join in on the fun. Post your location and local time below. Together, we're not just telling a story, we're building a community of dreamers scattered across the globe, connected by timeless tales. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself in the cavernous forge of Hephaestus, a place pulsating with an energy all its own. The walls are rugged and fiery, carved from ancient lava flows that cooled into the shapes of creatures only the gods remember. Sparks fly and sizzle as the hammer of Hephaestus strikes molten metal. You wonder if the clangor would make more sense as a symphony, each note a sizzling strike in this concert of creation. Hephaestus, a solitary figure amid the swirling smoke and glittering embers, stands bent over a fresh creation. His face is a study in concentration, yet joy seems to escape from the corners of his eyes, perhaps a rare visitor in the solitude of his volcanic abode. You catch whispers, yes, whispers soft, almost imperceptible over the clamor of the forge. He's speaking to his creations. At least that's what you'd say if you hadn't just seen it. It's a surprising detail, isn't it? The idea that this master artisan, known for crafting tools and weapons for gods and heroes alike, might be a tad lonely. Historians marvel at his skill, but whether he truly spoke to his artworks remains a topic of scholarly debate. Maybe it's just their echo. Or maybe, just maybe, his creations listened. In the dim glow, a singular table catches your attention. It's simple at first glance, crafted from dark mahogany with intricate symbols inlaid along the edges. It sits almost alive, absorbing tales whispered by the god's tongue over years. You walk nearer, sensing an aura of silent wisdom. You muse idly whether furniture greets one another by size or by the year of their construction. Hephaestus has his back to you, absorbed in his task. You decide not to disturb him, allowing yourself to become part of the dreamscape of this forge where myths meet the mundane. Your fingers brush lightly over the table's polished surface. It feels warm and oddly inviting, like an old friend you haven't seen in ages. As if in response, a gentle creak reaches your ears. You pause, chuckling lightly. Perhaps even tables need to stretch once in a while. Entranced, you imagine the stories this table might have heard, echoes of battles, the clink of goblets raised in triumph, quiet vows of love spoken and unspoken. You exhale softly, the weight of wonder rolling off like steam from the forge. In the background, the crackling fire continues its timeless dance, casting fleeting shadows that flicker across Hephaestus's face. His rough hands guide metal with an artistry that speaks of centuries. You wonder if he truly saw these creations as companions, or if the isolation of his volcanic cave played tricks on the mind. A gentle breeze kisses your cheek, a relief from the forge's intensity. Like a playful zephyr sneaking through the walls, perhaps suggesting you slip softly back into reality or dig deeper, depending on the muse that grips you tonight. For now, the volatile peace of this place invites simple tranquility. You stand amidst God's accords and mortal wishes, wondering if a table's silent witness means more than you expect. If stories could settle in wood, then this humble piece is a timeless archive softly chiding you to notice what others might pass over. A rumbling rolls through the cave, perhaps the mountain's own laughter at your thoughts. You smile, stepping back, feeling lighter, as if the air itself wraps you in a hug only a vague history can offer. A glimpse of understanding brushes past like an errant moth, and you ponder whether other creations in this fiery forge hold secrets, untold secrets waiting patiently until the right listener arrives. You consider staying longer, getting lost in this volcanic paradise, but the night is young and the tales many. As you start to pull away, you feel the softest of vibrations beneath your palm on the table. Just once a final whisper, meant only for you, a farewell from the legends themselves. With a serene heart, you walk back from the edge of myth into the realm of dreams, soothed by the gentle harmony of 1,000 unsung verses, woven into an eternal lullaby by a solitary god in his volcanic workshop. In this dimly lit forge, the focus isn't solely on the crafts unfolding before your eyes, but also on the secrets they hold. You wander closer, feeling the warmth of the fires and hearing the rhythmic hammering of metal sounds, almost like a heartbeat, steady and reassuring. You marvel at the grandeur of the place. Hephaestus, despite being cast from Mount Olympus, creates wonders that even the gods find themselves drawn to. Your attention turns to a curious object in the corner, a wooden cabinet, unassuming, yet out of place amongst the metallic shine. You blink, wondering why it calls to you like a whisper in the roaring din. It's said to house the hidden blueprints of Hephaestus's most ingenious creation, secrets meant to safeguard his domain, even from those closest to him. You can't help but wonder what treasures or mysteries lie inside. As Aphrodite's shadow graces the anvil-laden room, Drawn perhaps by the lure of craftsmanship, the cabinet locks itself with a soft, indignant click. This isn't a one-time event. It happens consistently like clockwork whenever her presence is near. Even in this moment of tranquility, a touch of mischief still dances in the air. The floor cool beneath your feet, you linger upon tales carried by the forge's warmth. Although historians still debate whether the cabinet's enchantment was solely Hephaestus's own design, or if there was a sprinkle of divine intervention involved, you imagine the chuckle that would escape his lips, thinking of his cleverness, known only to him, or so he thinks. Nearby, an apprentice grumbles over a stubborn piece of metal. Hephaestus, his figure robust and firm, like the mountains, offers quiet guidance, his voice a gentle murmur over the hiss of the forge. You can't help but smile, noticing the absent-minded way he kneads his sore arm, a reminder that even gods are not immune to everyday aches. It's comforting, this shared flaw of being. In the corner, a small group of craftspeople gather, chatting softly about their latest projects, their words punctuated with laughter. You're amused by their camaraderie, a family formed in fire and flare, sharing jokes about the Olympian soap operas playing out above their heads. Those melodramatic deities, always good for a laugh or two. You join them perched on a well-worn stool, allowing the ambiance to envelop you like a warm blanket. The cabinet remains in the periphery of your mind, a nagging curiosity tinged with a hint of apprehension. What could be so important to lock away so intently? As you sit back, breathing in deeply, you let the sounds of the workshop lull you into a rhythm as constant as the hammer's beat. Perhaps, just perhaps, on this night, beneath the watching stars, a secret might reveal itself. As you muse, the soothing chatter fades into the background, and you find yourself caught in the gentle sway between wakefulness and dreams cradled by history and imagination. Chairs with eyes peering brightly in rooms where candlelight flickers. You can't help but chuckle at the oddity of it all, imagining chairs passing judgment on those who dare to sit. You walk into an ancient scriptorium, where the scent of aged parchment mingles comfortably with the sticky residue of wax, a scent that automatically transports you into an atmosphere of quiet diligence. You find yourself in a place where history is delicately inked down by keen scribes, each devoted to their mystical craft. The room is adorned with rich, dark wood, carved with meticulous attention, embellished with the occasional decorative eye that catches the lamplight just so, almost as though it's scrutinizing your every step. It's no wonder these creations might have inspired tales of Argus, that mythic figure said to have 100 eyes ever watchful. A missed step wouldn't surprise you. Those chairs seem to communicate with their mere presence. Settling into the bench, the cold wood sending a chill up your back, you notice how some chairs seem to literally blink, their clever mechanism, a trick of artistry and perception. Did such chairs once bear witness to whispered secrets or mundane conversations? You squint at the craftsmanship, genuinely questioning whether there's anything you could hide from those ever-present gazes. It almost seems they were designed to be the world's earliest surveillance system, an ancient form of Big Brother. As you continue exploring the room, a scribe acknowledges you with a slight nod. Craftsmanship for the ages, isn't it? They murmur, eyes not leaving their manuscript. The scribe's voice is like parchment, soft crackling slightly, under the rich tones of years lived and tales told. Historians often ponder whether these chairs were simply for aesthetic pleasure, or perhaps symbols of trust and contract ensuring honesty through the silent yet omnipresent gaze of their adornments. You find your mind wandering and question these very ponderings as your fingertips trail along the smooth, polished surfaces dotted with meticulously painted irises. You spy a particularly ancient chair with eyes crafted from rare gemstones, likely to impress notable eyes themselves. Kings, perhaps, or diplomats of old. Like some grandiose throne of discovery or judgment, could this have been a seat for a history maker or breaker? It's amusing to think these chairs saw more action and intrigue than some of the greatest explorers, though perhaps movements were less earthly and more cerebral. The thick air of mystery invites daydreams, entertaining fantasies of scintillating stories whispered between legendary lips. Chairs as audience become lively with exaggerated expressions, their eyes playing along with their own silent dramas, perhaps laughing at our mortal follies. Somewhere quietly, you hear a shifting behind you, and you turn to see just a mundane draft move the drapes. But of course, in a place like this, you almost expect clandestine activities behind every tapestry. It's just one of those environs that assumes life of its own, never passive, perpetually active in its stillness. As the evening grows ever more shadowed, the flickering lights play games, shadows dancing with echoes of these historical artifacts. And you find yourself reminded of the gentle hum of a bored god's awareness. You exhale, shoulders dipping into a relaxed posture, as you realize the unyielding stature of these eyes is less daunting, perhaps even a teeny bit endearing. Much like keeping company with an old wise pet who simply knows too much. Was this all an elaborate joke by craftsmen long gone? Or maybe a strict reminder of the omnipresent divine? Whichever allegory fits best, you can't deny that a room with apparent silent witnesses creates its own sort of forced candor. And maybe that's the kernel of magic in these mysterious voids, the lingering reminder of little things forever watching, of an eternal attachment to an age far flung yet always lingering here. Now joining your evening with those past, you can only giggle inwardly at such profound historical homeliness as you rise stretching and casting one last glance at both unblinking and blinking eyes alike, finding humor in the preposterous wondering if the chairs in turn, amused by the nameless scribe's labor, and your musings chuckle with you distantly tucked away in their wooden hearts. You find yourself in the grand dining hall of Olympus, where the light from flaming torches flickers across smooth marble columns and casts playful shadows over the vast space. The air is filled with the sweet scent of ambrosia and roasting meats, and you can't help but take a deep breath, drinking in the richness of it all. As you step further into the hall, you notice that the room is filled with tables, each lavishly adorned with golden goblets, fine silverware, and platters of decadent fare. The gods are assembling for one of their legendary banquets, a gathering known for extravagance and unexpected quirks. Tonight, however, there's a peculiar pause in the usual bustle as guests hover uncertainly near their seats. There's a reason for this hesitation. It's a well-known fact that Zeus, indulging his mischievous side, occasionally employs chairs with magical properties. As you observe, you notice that some chairs appear more animated than others, their legs twitching ever so slightly, the wood creaking with impatience. It's as if they each hold a secret, a mystery that neither god nor mortal can confidently decipher until seated. Historians still debate whether these enchanted chairs were meant as a playful jest or a subtle test. You imagine the jolt of surprise for an unsuspecting guest that would certainly liven up the feast. You smirk at the thought and admire the decoration covering the chairs. Would yours offer a goblet of the finest wine? Or would it attempt to snatch your ankles in a playful grip? Stepping closer to the table, you take note of the ornate place settings. Pearls and shells from Poseidon's depths pair with flowers never before seen on earth. You feel a gentle squeeze of awe and wonderment, your curiosity piqued by the artistry on display. Apollo stops beside you, his eyes twinkling. "Take a seat," he suggests, gesturing with a flourish. "It's all part of the fun if you dare." There's a whimsy in his voice that only fuels your intrigue. The Olympian banquets are known not just for tricks, but for the music and laughter that fill the air. It's said that these banquets have settled more disputes and forged more alliances than any formal council ever could. You ponder if this theory holds substance, recalling your history lessons on Greek diplomacy, mostly over fine food and merriment. Your gaze drifts across the hall, where Hera presides with regal poise, her eyes sharp as she assesses each guest, gauging reactions. And just a few seats down, Ares is already indulging. His boisterous laugh echoes a sound capable of rattling the battlements of Olympus itself. You find comfort in the rhythm of these gatherings, a reminder that even in divine realms, tradition binds and strengthens. Taking a deep breath to still your nerves, you move to an empty chair, its surface shining under the flicker of torchlight. As you lower yourself cautiously, you feel the chair dip slightly, almost yielding to your weight. Yet it holds steady. Relieved, you nestle back and exhale slowly, shoulders sinking into the cushion, the cool air, a soothing balm on your skin. Around you, the hall fills with conversation and song, the melody of harp strings weaving through laughter. Dionysus, with his wreath of ivy, raises a toast, his voice warm and inviting, an invitation to lose oneself in the feast's pleasures. You lift your goblet along with the others, the sweet wine like liquid sunlight tasting of springs and summer breezes. You wonder if these mythical figures, larger than life, and yet so very present tonight, feel the weight of eternity in these moments of respite. Do they savor the moments of merriment as much as they do their victories on the celestial battlefield? Perhaps it's the enigma of mortality that makes these moments precious even for the immortals. As your thoughts drift, you overhear Athena and Hermes debating the nature of wisdom versus cunning. One must always think ahead, Athena insists, her tone even and methodical. Hermes smirks, countering, but where's the fun in too much forethought? Sometimes the unexpected leads to the best outcomes. Keenly aware of the dynamics at play, you chuckle softly to yourself. This whole event feels like a play where everyone's in on the script, improvising their parts. Across the table, Zeus catches your eye, smirking as though he can read your musings, a fleeting acknowledgement that perhaps the unpredictability is part of what makes the banquet truly legendary. Soon stories are exchanged, and laughter bubbles into the high ceilings of the Olympian hall. Wrapped in this convivial cloak, you let go of apprehensions, allowing yourself to sink deeper into the ambiance, the vividness of each moment a balm for wandering thoughts. As the evening stretches onward, you find each course more sumptuous than the last, each passing story woven with the threads of myth and reality, blurring the lines until even the smallest touch of your fingers on the table feels epic in proportion. You lose track of time, understanding now that the banquet, much like time itself among the gods, flows with a rhythm all its own. And so you sit under Olympus's vaulted ceilings, woven seamlessly into the tapestry of divine gathering and folklore, a mere thread in the vast weaving, but one that savors the warmth and camaraderie, knowing that though chairs might still surprise, and feasts may end, the echoes of this night will linger long after the flickering torches fade into memory. You find yourself standing at the entrance of Hephaestus's forge, the scent of iron and fire wrapping around you like an ancient warm embrace. The soft glow of embers casts flickering shadows across the stone walls, and you can almost hear the hiss of metal being shaped under the gods' skilled hands. This place feels alive with the dance of creation, and you breathe in the air thick with the spirit of invention. As you wander deeper into the workshop, your gaze falls upon the tables, lined against the walls. These aren't just any tables. They're meticulously crafted with a sense of purpose, each seeming to teem with its own subtle character. Hephaestus, always the jokester, recently suggested that his tables were on the verge of forming a union. The silence that followed was telling. Not even Apollo, known for his good humor and musical wit, cracked a smile at his fellow deity's jest. You ponder, wondering if perhaps these tables, despite their static grace, harbor secrets of their own schemes of autonomy, maybe. After all, in a realm where myth and reality blend seamlessly, who's to say what inanimate objects might dream of? As you stroll further, you notice the heat in the air, the way it shimmers around you. A constant reminder of Hephaestus at work. Normally, you might shy away from such intensity, but here you feel more alive, the energy spark in your own creative thoughts. Dotted around the tables are tools and devices of intricate design. Historians still debate whether Hephaestus actually crafted each magnificent item alone, or if some of the work was outsourced to his skilled assistants. You chuckle softly at the idea of gods worrying about outsourcing, letting the rest of the possibility drift away like smoke. A curious gadget catches your eye. A delicate bird, mere bronze on the outside, but something about it buzzes with life. You cautiously approach, half wondering if it'll start singing, echoing the real-life creatures that add song to silence beyond the forge. Outside the forge, you can imagine the verdant hills of Olympus, whispering stories as the winds glide through the grass. The shift from intense heat to the imagined coolness of the outer world is a soothing cloak wrapping your thoughts, and you can't help but relax, shoulders softening as you take it all in. A clatter disrupts your musings, just a stray bolt rolling onto the floor, but it sparks another thought. You wonder about the real workers behind great workshops. Sometimes it's all about who gets the credit and who remains in the shadows, much like Hephaestus's mythic creations. They are often grand, sparkling with a complexity that defies simple creation myths. You remember learning that Hephaestus had crafted many legendary items, like the shield of Achilles, each piece a masterpiece of metallurgy and myth, merging function and art seamlessly. The fact that these creations might have their own thoughts, even joked about, is as amusing as it is entrance to the magic of this place. Playful sounds echo faintly like whispers from the past, perhaps originating from laughter when long-lost nymphs played near these grounds. You entertain the idea of tables, staging little protests, demanding cushions for softer landings, or varnish to enhance their sheen. As amusing as it sounds, you can visualize it clearly in this world, hewn from imagination. Walking on, you pass artisans studying what might be plans for another masterpiece. They murmur softly, their dialogue like a gentle stream. But what if we tried? One begins, and you fill in the blanks, a quintessential example of the creative process with its uncertainties and surprises. Continuing your stroll, you indulge in the question of how workplaces and creativity were perceived in the ancient past. Far less structured rituals, mingling effortlessly with routines. Artistry wasn't just an act, but an extension of one's very being. In a way, Hephaestus's forge is a testament to that blend, a place where work is worship and invention an offering. Contemplating this merged beauty of time and artistry, you feel a subtle kinship with the gods, perhaps an apt muse if ever there was one. Your steps begin to slow the glow around you, dimming like a theater stage signaling the final act. You imagine the laughter finally shared between Artemis and Apollo, enough to provoke a grin, delayed but genuine. And so, you pause in the warmth of this thought, a part of this intricate tale woven through both myth and your curious wonder. In the dreamlike quiet, you find peace in the knowledge that stories like these are meant to linger, bonding beings across time, encouraging the creativity that sleeps within us all. As the glow of the forge fades, you hold on to that gentle embrace, drifting into restful contemplation. A candelabra once blinked a coded message across the room. You stand in the dimly lit hall, curiosity piqued, contemplating the mystery of this shimmering fixture. The room is quiet, save for the occasional creak of the old floorboards. You can't quite shake the sense that this place has stories to tell, and secrets it might reveal to those who listen closely enough. As the candelabra flickers, you start to notice a pattern in its glimmering lights. Is it Morse code, or perhaps a clever trick of the light? Historians still debate whether this ornate relic was used for secret communications in times of war, or if it was merely the eccentric creation of its owner, a noble with a penchant for drama. You recall the tales of great spies whispered about in the annals of history like Mata Hari during World War I, who charmed secrets out of her targets. The thought that this candelabra might have played a role in such clandestine affairs sends a shiver of excitement down your spine. The glow of the candles casts shadows that dance across the walls, giving life to the regal portraits hanging high above. You half expect them to lean in and share their own stories. Of course, they remain as silent as the legends they depict. Another creak from the floorboards reminds you of the old tales that might never be told, the secrets buried just beneath your feet. Turning your attention to a modest stool nearby, you remember the claims of its unusual talent. It's said to hum when lies are told in its presence. You imagine the cacophony it would produce in a political hall or during a nefarious negotiation. Although skeptical, you can't resist the temptation to test the tale for yourself. You glance around to ensure your privacy, then utter a small fib with a playful grin. Almost imperceptibly, the stool shivers, and you swear you hear a faint hum rise above the quiet. Could it really be sensing the untruth in your voice? Or is it just the settling of old timber? You ponder how many whispered falsehoods it might have overheard in its time. Your mind drifts to the era of Louis XIV of France, a man renowned for the grandiosity of his court at Versailles. You picture the bursting halls of the Sun King's palace, filled with lavish tapestries, opulent fixtures, and courtiers all vying for favor. It was an era ripe with intrigue, where every corner held potential for a secret alliance or a sordid betrayal. Would the likes of Louis have found use for such curious, truth-sensing furniture? The air in the room is thick with history, an invisible tapestry woven with the words and deeds of those long past. You exhale slowly, feeling your shoulders relax against the solid wooden chair, its back tall and stately. The warmth from the nearby fire brings a coziness to your bones, warding off the chill that lingers in these old stone chambers. Glancing back at the candelabra, you ponder the mind that conceived such a creation. Was it an act of necessity born in turbulent times, or the fanciful indulgence of idle wealth? Either way, you can't help but appreciate the ingenuity, a blend of art and espionage that invites curiosity and imagination. A ghostly breeze flutters the tapestries, teasing the fringes of your awareness. You imagine a storeroom filled with such enchanted curiosities, each with its own tale of provenance and purpose. You wonder whether they would tell you stories of heroism, or folly of invention, or happenstance. Surely a single piece could not hold all the tales that history bestows upon it. Suddenly a voice breaks the silence, soft like the whispering wind. How do you find our family's treasures? A figure emerges from the shadows, an elderly caretaker with eyes that twinkle like the candelabra's lights. His voice carries the weight of experience and the warmth of shared wonder. They have a way of making themselves known. You reply with a soft chuckle, nodding towards the humming stool. The caretaker's laughter is a gentle rumble filled with the amusement of one who knows the stories by heart. Ah, yes, that trickster. A legacy of our family's penchant for games and revelations. Seen some mighty fibs flutter through this hall it has. With a nod, you contemplate the passage of time and how stories morph into legends. Do you think they truly worked? You ask, motioning towards the blinking candelabra. Who can say? He replies thoughtfully. In some matters, it's the belief that gives them power, isn't it? Take it from me, the tales we tell, whether light or grave, often hold more weight than the truth itself. His words echo through the room, a testament to the weaving of fact and fiction in the fabric of history. You rise from the chair, the warmth of the fire, lingering like an old friend's embrace. As you walk towards the exit, you take one last look at the room, its flickering lights, gullible furniture, and the stories left untold. You feel a sense of gratitude for the cozy cocoon of history and legend that has wrapped itself around you, a final embrace before stepping back into the present. Your footsteps echo softly as you leave the hall, carrying with you a piece of its mystique. Though the world outside may be filled with its own conundrums, for now you savor the calming lull of legends whispered by flickering candelabra and humming stools in the quiet of night. Soft footsteps echo in the cavernous confines of a marble hall, the faint scent of incense lingering in the air. You find yourself amidst the grandeur of a Greek temple, a place where time feels both eternal and inconsequential. Ahead, daylight filters through the pillared entrance, casting elongated shadows that dance like ancient spirits. The world seems both expansive and intimate here, a dichotomy you've come to appreciate. A quiet chuckle escapes you as you wonder whether you'd fit in with the company of gods and heroes, figures larger than life, yet undeniably human in their countless flaws and misadventures. The temple honors Hephaestus, the divine blacksmith, an intriguing character known for his mastery over fire and metal. Despite being the only god with a visible impairment, his creations inspired awe, and perhaps a smidge of jealousy from his celestial peers. As you journey deeper into the temple, your mind wanders to the tales spun around Hephaestus's legendary inventions. His handiwork was renowned for its mythical attributes, but let's be real, you might not survive a day in his scorching forge. It's said that Hephaestus didn't create one particular device, though it bore his unmistakable inspiration: walking carts. Historians argue about his direct involvement, but the influence is hard to ignore. These mechanical marvels, ancient precursors to modern automation, were claimed to have been powered by simple mechanics, light gears, and possibly an early understanding of steam power. Standing amidst the grandeur and myth of the temple, you seriously doubt if you could forge a spoon, let alone a contraption as complex as these mythical carts. As you imagine the ingenuity required, your mind drifts to the Greek siege devices allegedly inspired by these carts. Ancient Greece wasn't always about philosophical debates, and Olympic Games, wars, and sieges were integral to its diverse city-states. Award yourself a mental trophy for knowing about the historically significant but often overlooked use of these innovative machines. Historians still debate whether each story is rooted in historical accuracy or merely tapestry-thin threads of legend. The temple seems to hum with secrets. You carefully unearth the whispered story about how these walking vehicles might have led to one of history's slyest strategical maneuvers, the creation of the wooden goat. No, not a wooden Trojan horse. That story reached its dramatic peak at Troy, but a far more whimsical tale by comparison. This goat had an air of mischief about it, famed in quiet circles for its sleeker, more compact design. It was only ever spoken of in the context of those who preferred subtlety over outright conquest. Legend has it this goat was designed to lull those inside fortified cities into a sense of misplaced security. Seen grazing innocently outside the walls, who would have suspected its sinister purpose? Your gaze sweeps the temple's artistic friezes, but alas, no goat. Still picturing the amused expressions of onlookers as troops emerged from its belly in a well-rehearsed tactical theater, does tickle your sense of humor. A gentle breeze drifts through the columns, carrying with it the clipped laughter of temple visitors outside. The sounds are soft like a lullaby, carrying the legacy of heroic triumphs and human cunning throughout age-old histories. You exhale, leaning lightly against one of the cool marble columns. Your shoulders relax, allowing the weight of imagined armor to slip from them. You absently muse to yourself about the stories not etched into marble or scroll, the unseen moments perhaps even more consequential than recorded victories and losses. You find comfort in believing there are chapters of the past hidden, yet unfound, resonating in the spaces between lines of long-lasting histories. In the spirit of these unseen tales, a nearby visitor softly hums a melody in a language familiar, yet unrecognizable, a whisper of another time. You can't help but wonder how many sung stories are lost to modern ears. The room's acoustics capture the gentle tune, gifting you another thread to weave into the grand tapestry of civilization's narrative. Picturing Hephaestus's ingenuity, you wonder about all his uncelebrated creations, perhaps discarded like forgettable footnotes of an impatient author. The concept of walking carts, blending seamlessly into the function and art of Greek siege strategies, seems as credible as it is mythical. It makes you smile wryly, imagining anachronistic scenes of ancient Greeks frowning over a flat tire. The day's light begins to fade, lending the temple's atmosphere an even softer hue, as if signaling the approach of twilight's quiet dominion. Warmth from the setting sun streams through the open doors, and you turn to welcome its golden embrace fingers brushing the weathered stone. If souls linger in memories, and their stories continue beyond our telling of them, perhaps yours, too, might whisper in future halls, bathed in such beautiful amber light. The thought relaxes you, soothing the remaining tension as you acknowledge the timeless nature of human curiosity and resilience. The temple, with its echoes of past grandeur and innovation, lulls you into a peace only shared with intimate histories. You close your eyes, listening to the hum of stories past, and yet to come, a current weaving through time. The gentle hush quiets your mind, inviting a restful ease to settle over you like a beloved storybook's closing chapter. In these closing moments, the calm embrace of ancient airs and the eternal telling of tales, you drift gently into that place where thoughts align softly on the edges of wakefulness and dreams. Hephaestus, the master craftsman of the gods, had always been a curious figure. Yet despite the awe inspired by his inventions, there was something more human about him than the other Olympians. You find yourself meandering through a landscape of vibrant colors and spontaneous creativity. Imagine the smell of hot metal and the rhythmic clang of his forge in the background, a symphony composed from fire and iron. Now Hephaestus was married to Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty and love, whose charm was so captivating even fish left their courses to admire her passing. To express his devotion, Hephaestus decided to gift her something unprecedented, a mirror unlike any other. This mirror wasn't static. It would follow Aphrodite, an enchanted companion, reflecting her radiance, even in the most mundane of moments, the 8 a.m. look that haunts us all, not accepted. Imagine standing in the grand hall as Hephaestus presents the mirror. It's different from what you'd expect, less like a vanity piece and more like something from a whimsical tale. Crafted from polished silver, its surface flawless. As a still lake, the mirror adjusted the lighting around Aphrodite, ensuring she appeared in the most flattering light. You might quip to yourself, wouldn't it be handy for Monday mornings, welcoming a light-hearted grin to escape your lips? But here's the twist in this lightly enchanted tale, something even more unexpected about this mirror. It wasn't just a passive tool. It had the autonomy to adjust to the goddess's mood, to radiate warmth or coolness as necessary and enviable trait for anyone who's ever faced the unpredictable dance of overhead fluorescent lights. And lean in it was sentient enough to witness. The temple of Hephaestus feels alive, vibrating with energy not just from the fire in its great hearth, but from its dwellers' stories and lives. The walls might be ancient, solidified as weathered stone over centuries, but the stories they hold are timeless, whispered by the wind circling the towering columns. As you let your fingers graze the cool stone, you ponder how many secrets those walls might divulge if given the chance. It's amongst these murmured stories that something unusual occurs. The mirror in its tender, unassuming presence captures more than anyone, mortal or divine, bargained for. Aphrodite unknowingly finds herself accompanied by more than divine presence. The trickster mirror has a memory, one that does not forget, and refuses to avert its mirrored gaze, even when discretion might be wiser. Aphrodite's clandestine meetings with Ares, the god of war, are unnoticed by all but the mirror's keen reflection. This peculiar object witnesses their secret rendezvous, seeing it all with an unwavering, impartial eye. Imagine the mirror poised in a corner of a sunlit grove, dapples of light weaving through leaves to create a tapestry of flickering patterns across its reflective surface, all while capturing forbidden moments. The landscape here echoes with life. You dodge a playful nymph or two as they flit around the trees, laughter trickling through like a clear brook amongst the leaves. It's in such an idyllic, seemingly eternal setting that the mirror catches everything on its glossy canvas. The tension, the softness, the inevitable slip of restraint. You can't help but feel a shimmer of intrigue mixed with tension at this clandestine revelation. How often does furniture become the keeper of secrets? You ponder while absently tracing patterns in the dirt with your sandal. Seems like every piece has its story to tell. Historians still debate whether this tale was purely metaphor or a cleverly veiled moral about the gods' behavior mirroring the complexity of human life, enviously revered yet ultimately flawed. What is certain is the importance of the narrative thread it weaves into the fabric of myth. After all, even mirrors have limitations. They can display beauty untold, but also unveil hidden truths that shadow it. And in this merry chaos of Olympus, where gods walk like men amongst the open-air markets, and laughter mingles with the smell of spiced wine, you find yourself reflecting just as the mirror does. Does knowing when to reflect or when to remain opaque matter more? With each step brushing against the golden sands of Olympus, your chuckle mixing with the afternoon breeze, you let these thoughts nestle into the soft corners of your mind. The Olympian's realm is one of paradoxical calm and chaos, where reality feels pliant, as if reaching out you could curve it into differing shapes. Yet isn't that the paradox you encounter with every life tale? A touch of the known, mingling with a whisper of uncertainty, and there between them lies every story ever told, forever felt just like the path you're on. And so, as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues impossible to name, you linger in this peculiar world. The tale you witness isn't bound, just flickering at the edge of silence, softly waiting to settle into dreams, where secrets, truths, and stories stretch into the comfort of the night. You ponder this as the stars begin to awaken one by one, ready to share their watchful vigil over the sleeping world. Or perhaps, like Hephaestus's mirror, to reveal their own silent stories to those willing to look closely enough. Your mind drifts back to the moments leading up to this peculiar wandering. The land around you is vast and silent, bathed in the soft amber glow of dawn, breaking over the distant horizon. You stand before the remnants of what once must have been magnificent. The ancient ruins tell tales of their own as shadows play upon their crumbling surfaces. The scent of earth and wildflowers hangs in the crisp morning air, as if comforting whispers lingered there through centuries. Hephaestus, the legendary blacksmith and craftsman of the gods, was known for his fiery temperament, quite fitting given his dominion over fire and metal working. You remember tales passed down of how his creations came to life by harnessing the unique blend of divine anger and unparalleled skill. But this time, his fury had left something forgotten and forsaken. Others have spoken of the creature an automaton of sorts, crafted by his hands during one of those tempestuous outbursts. It is said that after the storm of emotions had passed, this creation wandered away unshackled into the land beyond. You imagine it lonely yet purposeful, traversing the earth in search of something even the gods might not understand. As you step forward, your footfalls barely audible against the gentle rustle of leaves. You muse on the fortunes of these mythical inventions. Some lived on to serve mighty deeds, while others faded into obscurity, their tales lost in the whispers of history. It seems the world is full of such stories, each more mysterious than the last. You wonder what lay ahead for this particular phantom of metal, built to serve but destined to roam. Lost in thought, you suddenly hear a faint rustling among the ruins. Could it be that the creature still resides in these parts, its metal limbs quietly recounting fabled exploits to the stones? Historians to this day still debate whether the ruins themselves once housed a temple or a marketplace. Each stone a clue to a time when gods and men might have shared their space more intimately. You imagine the automaton's journey through time, perhaps seeking a new master, or merely fulfilling its purpose, perpetually an eternal soldier with no orders. It is both humbling and oddly amusing to think a being crafted with thoughtless wrath now wanders with endless patience. Maybe it waits for its maker's summons, or maybe for an order never to come, a being stuck in time. As you continue, the morning sun begins to warm your skin, dispelling the early chill and allowing your thoughts to wander more freely. The grasses sway gently, and you find yourself pondering the strange serenity here, evidently untouched by the frenzy of creation and the disengagement thereafter. A butterfly flutters past its colorful wings, vivid against the worn grays and browns of the ancient stones. It strikes you how life continues to fill this place in unexpected ways, nature's living tapestry against history's backdrop. A breeze tickles your ear, almost as if whispering secrets of the ages. You chuckle softly at the notion of being privy to such secrets, and yet aware of your limitations, a mortal among divine relics. The thought that something so quintessentially bound to legend persists in such quietude is enough to make your heart swell with a perplexing blend of awe and modest curiosity. Pausing, you allow a moment's respite. Against a weathered pillar, its surface cool beneath your hand. You close your eyes, listening deeply to the heavy silence punctuated only by the occasional trill of a distant bird. It's a silence pregnant with centuries of stories, triumphs, and tragedies. Your mind dances around the possibility of still hearing the faint steps of the metal, being wandering through echoes of a time long gone. You yearn to know its thoughts, if any, and what images dance behind lifeless eyes. As the sun climbs higher, you accept that today, like so many before, the mystery remains just an arm's length out of reach. Yet there's solace in knowing that some legends never seek a resolution, they simply are. You exhale slowly, feeling the heft of the ages loosen its grip a little, inviting you to partake in this ageless dance of discovery and wonder. And so you leave the ruins behind with a step less burdened and a spirit lightened by the imprints of those ethereal encounters. The path ahead awaits with its uncharted adventures, as you carry within a seed of knowledge planted by whispers of the past. Perhaps somewhere in the recesses of history, not yet sketched, lies the key that binds this tale together. Embrace the journey, for the unknown is a friend, and in its embrace you find not just the bygone, but a fragment of your own story unfurling. As you walk, imagine that you are merely one specter in the continuum of explorers to pass this way, each leaving parts of themselves among the shadows and light. Father Time has cast his gentle art once more, a lullaby of discovery, soothing you into the serenity of not knowing yet, embracing all that is felt and imagined. In the end, his walking chairs, loyal tripods, and whispering lamps weren't just tools, they were witnesses of betrayal banquets and quiet divine revenge. You've placed yourself right in the midst of it all, amidst wandering furniture and illuminating companions that seem to share more than just your space. They share secrets, memories that whisper through time. It's almost eerie how these inanimate companions keep you company, as if they were always listening, always waiting for their moment. Here you find yourself intrigued by the curious reality that you're surrounded not just by historical remnants, but by the echoes of living tales. You're standing in a room where chairs move, taking small, purposeful steps. At first, it's like watching an overzealous dance practice. But then you realize it's almost as if they know where they're going, each step laden with centuries of wisdom. You take a seat, feeling the chair adjust beneath you like a living creature, settling into comfort. Isn't it strange? Objects that once seemed so simple now vibrate with history, urging you to remember those who might have sat where you now rest, contemplating their own improbable journeys. You wonder what they might say if they could speak as clearly as they can move. Your eyes drift towards the polished tripods. Each stand seems more like a sentry, sturdy and silent, guarding memories of feasts long past. Beneath the dim glow of whispering lamps that sense your presence and adjust their warmth, lighting your thoughts as much as your path, you glance at one lamp, leaning conspiratorially light, bending in tune with your curiosity. It's almost as if the whispering breeze flowing from these lamps carries secrets from ages gone, revealing tales of grand banquets turned sour friendships, betrayed over whispered conspiracies at lavish tables. You can almost hear the rustle of silk gowns and the soft clink of crystal glasses. A banquet splendid and opulent, where eyes glinted with ambition more than joy. And you can't help but smile softly to yourself, musing at how historians still debate whether these fixtures truly remember, or if it's just the tales we the storytellers wrap around them like silken threads. But it matters not. The wonder persists, weaving through your thoughts like the gentle turning of pages, inviting you into the narrative. You're almost startled by the burst of insight that comes with this thought. This entire realm is a stage, and every element, every echoing footfall on stone floors, every dusky scent of books well lived is but part of a grand unfolding story. You pause to appreciate the absurdity of it. After all, how often does one find themselves contemplating the emotional depth of a lamp? Yet here you are, questioning it all, squinting suspiciously at a lamp and laughing at yourself. Walking through this temporal tapestry, you begin to piece together tales of betrayal as thick as the woven tapestries adorning the stone walls. The tension in the air is palpable, each vibrant thread of the past, echoing the theatrics of intrigue and jealousy, lives intertwined in a dance of power and fate. It's a curious thing, divine revenge, you consider as you trace your fingers over the intricate carvings of a table's edge, wondering how many unseen alliances were forged and broken right here. The wood seems to pulse beneath your touch, almost alive with the weight of such clandestine histories. Were the gods in their celestial realms, watching, listening, amused by the follies of mortals in their quest for glory? As the whispering lamps dim slightly, casting a soothing, almost conspiratorial flicker, you smile at the thought of what a casual observer might think if they stumbled into this scene. Certainly they'd be jostled by walking chairs and startled by murmuring lights. They'd probably flee in a comedic scramble, of course. You chuckle quietly to yourself, and the tripods seem to stand a little taller, as though proud participants in your musings. The air grows calmer, and you relax into the gentle assurance of this place. Though history may be wrought with betrayals large and small, your presence here is serene, a witness to the quiet peace that now blankets these objects. The stories linger, but they've softened into echoes content now to simply exist, just as you are in this shared silence. A tender warmth suffuses the room as you let go of the day's thoughts, surrendering to the gentle embrace of evening shadows, wrapping around you like a comforting quilt. If there's one thing these magnificent, antiquated companions have taught, it's that every narrative, no matter how intricate, eventually finds its way to rest. And so tonight, under the watchful eyes of your peculiar, steadfast companions, you drift confidently into the embrace of sleep, guided by the enduring hum of whispered history and the gentle glow of a lamp that's never truly alone in the dark.